Hi, before I get into things, I just want to say that anything that is said by myself in this video is purely my opinion, and because of that, I'm a human being. I can get things wrong, misunderstandings and everything like that. I could be wrong. But here goes. Hayden Manis, who would be 9 years old right now, was last seen by his family, his father's family, on Christmas Eve 2019. But here's the thing, it is only 5 years later that his disappearance has been reported. And it's because of that it's 5 years later, it's over 5 years later, that his story is now being heard by the public. Hayden was taken off both of his parents because they both tested positive for drugs. And after the father did what he needed to do, ordered by the courts, to get Hayden back, the courts did then decide that it was in Hayden's best interest to go back to his father. It was then, by all accounts, while in his father's very, very abusive care, that Hayden has disappeared. The kid has, by all accounts, just vanished, and there's no explanation for his disappearance. And for 5 years, his disappearance has gone unreported. And I'm going to put it out there that I don't know what has happened, because obviously I wasn't present. I'm not in his family's head, I'm not in Hayden's head, I'm not in his dad's head. It's going to be impossible now because the dude is dead. So I'm just going to admit that I don't know what happened. Obviously it's something incredibly sketchy, but I don't know what. But the courts and the system over there are obviously at fault here, because they saw fit to put Hayden back into the care of his father when obviously he wasn't able, capable, or willing to care for Hayden. If he was, he wouldn't have abused him as much as it is reported he was abused. And I'm sorry, again, I don't know what's happened, but it just seems obvious to me that his father has at least had something to do with Hayden's disappearance. Why? Your son just disappears one day and you fail to report it, and it goes unreported. His disappearance goes unreported for 5 years. How many... What? Come on, man. This is mind-blowing for me. Did nobody care that much about this child, to think, oh, we've not seen him in 5 years. Where is he? What has happened in this poor kid's life? Why did it get to a point where he obviously wasn't thought about and cared about as much as people claim to have thought and cared about him? If it was, his disappearance would have been realised and reported years back. 5 years this kid has been gone. 5 years he has been gone. And it is only just been reported. But people care about him, apparently. Seems absolutely mind-blowing to me. I'm having to stop myself from swearing because it's blowing my mind how this poor boy can be gone for 5 years. And people are only just realising now. What? Did nobody care about this kid? People are saying they did. But did you? I'm not trying to victim blame. I'm really not. But I think the families also have to hold some sort of responsibility in this as well. I'm sorry. I don't think they had anything to do with Hayden's disappearance and most likely death, I'm sorry to say. But, come on, man. If my brother or sister just left, right, and took the kids, and I hadn't seen the kids in 5 years, even a few weeks, I'd heard nothing from them, nothing about them, nothing. My head would be spinning. What? Come on, man. How many people has failed this boy? How many people, I'm laughing at the... I was laughing, but it's not because I'm making fun out of anything. It's the disbelief in my head that somebody could mean so little to somebody. I thought I'd had it rough in my life. This lad, this poor kid in his short life. Nobody gave a shit about him to even check to see if he was still alive. My opinion. People are saying they care about him. People are shedding tears for this boy. Where were you 5 years ago? 5 years. That's a lot. That's the difference between 4 years old and 9. My head is blown with this one. It's blown. Nobody thought to go, oh, I've not seen this kid in a few years. Where is he? Maybe we should report it. Maybe we should call the police. Maybe we should talk about this. Maybe his story needs to be heard. Let's report it. No, 5 years passed and it's only just been reported. Ridiculous. And I do think there is a lot more people to be blamed in this situation because it is rumoured that people knew about the abuse. Like, it was a rumour. So obviously some people knew something. This poor boy was going through the ringer with his dad, with the abuse that he was receiving, right? And nobody did a thing. Every single one of you should be absolutely fucking ashamed of yourselves. It is ridiculous. Do not just blame the system. Look in a mirror and blame yourself too. Everybody in this boy's life failed him to some degree, and for 5 years he's just not been seen because you all cared about him so fucking much, don't you? And now it's going to be even harder because the lad's dad is now dead also, of a drug overdose. Accidental. Yeah, whatever. With the death of Hayden's father, does that mean that Hayden's never going to be found? In these cases, you have to have hope. But the odds are that no, it probably won't be. The odds are that 5 years later, that too much has been lost. Too much evidence has been lost. Obviously, over 5 years, certain things are going to happen to his remains. And the odds are that no, he's probably not going to be found. The odds are, because of the death of Hayden's father, the absolute piece of shit, this boy's probably going to be lost to time. He's just not going to be found. It seems harsh to say, but I think we have to say it. We have to face these facts, or possible facts. Like, these are the odds. You know, his disappearance went unreported for 5 years. His dad, whose care he was in, very abusive care, by all accounts, is now also dead. Other people were interviewed, and houses and properties have been searched. Particularly one that Hayden lived in with his dad and a girlfriend of his dad. Now here's the thing, the police did interview this ex-girlfriend of Hayden's dad, and they did search the property that they all lived in at one point, and nothing was found. Nothing was found, and not long after the ex-girlfriend was interviewed, and members of the family as well, they moved out of state. Now, that could be totally innocent. That could be for any reason. They could have already been planning that before all this came to light, right? So it's speculation at this point when talking about the reasons why they moved out of state not long after being interviewed about Hayden's disappearance, right? It's purely speculation. However, it is incredibly suspect, right? It is shady. You have to admit that at least. But does this mean that they've done anything? No, it doesn't. There's no evidence showing anything. It doesn't mean anything other than it is a bit shady. We don't know at what point during the last 5 years, at what point Hayden went missing. We don't know. But he's not been seen by his family in 5 years. So we don't actually know when, at what point within those 5 years, Hayden went missing. We're assuming 5 years because he's not been seen in 5 years, right? So we don't know if Hayden went missing after his dad broke up with this ex-girlfriend or not, or split up. I don't know why they broke up. Again, speculation. But we don't know if Hayden disappeared before the separation or after. We don't know. But again, it really is incredibly suspect and suspicious. I'm trying to get out of my head and describe to you my thoughts and feelings on this without swearing too much, because I am absolutely taken back by this case. and how it's taken 5 years for Hayden's disappearance to even come to light. It obviously shows how much people actually cared about the boy. Imagine living your life not thinking and realising that nobody gives a shit about you, especially at such a young age. It's what? How's this shit happening? How is this stuff happening in today's day and age? Right? Everybody's everywhere, even at a young age. Everybody's everywhere. Like, there had to have been some sort of record of this boy to the point where people start missing him. They're like, "Oh, we've not seen Hayden around. Where is he? How's he doing?" You know, I don't know, schools or something like that. Like, did nobody find it suspicious that the lad didn't turn up to school Monday? Then 5 years later, we're still not seeing Hayden. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Do you understand and get what I'm trying to say to you? It's. I have felt like that. I have grown up, and even now, as a 36-year-old man, I still feel like there are a lot of people in my life that don't give a shit about me. Right? I know what it feels like to live like that, to not feel wanted and appreciated, and people being glad that you're around, and you know, that type of thing. I get that. I understand that feeling. But literally, nobody in the past 5 years has seen this child, and nobody was concerned about that. Only recently, only since it came out that he's actually really not been seen in 5 years. Like, it's sad. It's incredibly sad. It's this one's actually upsetting me. The others upset me. Summer Wells and all the others I've looked at. Sebastian Rogers, he plays on my mind constantly, but this one is incredibly heartbreaking. When you sit back and you realise that he's been missing for 5 years. And quite obviously, nobody gave a shit until recently. That's sad. That is absolutely soul-crushing and heartbreaking. What did he go through? In his short life, what did this boy go through? And now, because of the death of his dad, there'll probably be no justice. So somebody else might be to blame. You can't tell me he was the only one. You know, his dad. You can't tell me that his dad was the only one that knew about his disappearance. Like, somebody else knew. So there's obviously some blame to be laid somewhere. But who? How do you find that out? How do you investigate this? All the evidence is going to be gone. Just like Hayden. Gone. Because nobody gave a shit to even check up on this little boy to see if he was just alive. Until now. And it's too late. It's too late. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave it there. This has... It's kind of broken me. Like, I suffer with really bad depression as it is. Like, a lot of stuff has happened in my life. I'm on tablets. I've been seeing a counsellor. This is one of the reasons why I've not been active on YouTube as much as I would like. And I thought these tablets were working, you know, and they were to an extent, but this one's got me. This one's got me. I'm going to leave it here. Tell me what you think about this sad case, about Hayden Manis and his disappearance. What are your thoughts on this? Tell me in the comments below. And ladies and gentlemen, I will see you next time. Bye-bye.